I call the Maplewood City Council meeting to order on Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the Kickapoo, Osage, Miami, Iroquois, and Great Sioux Nation people. Please rise in stating the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Traxler, roll call, please.
Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Buckingham. Councilmember Homa. Mayor Knapper.
Here.
Councilmember Page.
Here.
Councilmember Maddox.
Here.
Councilmember Correll.
Here.
Mayor Knapper, quorum is present.
Thank you. May I have a motion to excuse Deputy Mayor Buckingham?
So moved. Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Mr. Traxler, item number 6.
Approval of the council agenda.
May I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 7, please.
Approval of the February 13th, 2024 city council meeting minutes.
May I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Mr. Traxler, item number 8, please.
Announcements.
We have a lot of announcements, so bear with me. Special Business District Tax Advisory Commission meeting tomorrow, 4 p.m. in council chambers. The first of our 2 Prop S and Prop J open houses. The first one is this Thursday, February 29th from 7 to 9 p.m. in council chambers. The second one will be next Tuesday, March 5th from 3 to 5 p.m. Also in council chambers? Yeah. Maplewood is seeking applicants for vacancy appointments to the Board of Adjustment, Housing Board of Appeals, Human Services Commission, and the Sustainability Commission. Applicants for the Sustainability Commission must work for a Maplewood business. More information is on the city's website. This Saturday, March 2nd, from 9 a.m. to noon at the Maplewood Family Aquatic Center parking lot, we will have our joint document shredding and electronics recycling event with Richmond Heights. The drive-through event will have cars entering from Brudell and exiting onto Lohmeyer. Municipal Court is hosting amnesty days for defendants with outstanding warrants on Saturday, March 2nd from noon to 4, and on Saturday, March 9th from 9 to noon. Information is on the city's website. We also have a couple announcements regarding the school district. Hang on, I have to scroll down. MRH High School and Middle School performance of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown will be March 7th through 9th at 7 p.m. in the high school theater. Tickets are $10 and can be purchased at the box office the night of each show. And the MRH School Board candidate forum will be held Monday, March 11th at 6:30 p.m. in the high school theater.
Good job. Thank you. Mr. Traxler, item number 9.
Public forum.
At this time, the public is invited to provide comment. If you're joining us online, please raise your Zoom hand and Ms. Withercombe will call upon you. If you're joining us in the chambers, please step to the podium. And please, for either way you're joining us, please state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Sandy Phillips, 7639 Marion Court. Last week, more than 250 local government officials attended the 54th Missouri Municipal League Legislative Conference in Jefferson City. Attendees had the opportunity to hear from Missouri State Treasurer Vivek Malik regarding a lower interest loan program available to cities, and many also took the opportunity to visit their legislators at the Missouri State Capitol. I'd like to know if anyone from Maplewood attended this conference, and if so, will there be a recap of the meetings provided to the community?
My name is Janine Beck at 7326A Manchester. I'm with the Mid-County Chamber of Commerce. This is more just out of curiosity, and I think I talked to Councilman Correll a few months ago, and I think we were trying to get together an answer. So I was just curious as to the process of how and when the meeting minutes for boards and commissions are recorded for and made available to the community. For the different commissions, I see that agendas are posted regularly, which is great. But sometimes if you can't attend the meeting, you just want to know what happened. So I see that the agendas are posted regularly, but minutes are often missing for months at a time. So as a point of order for my own knowledge, are minutes of each commission required to be posted, or are they posted as a courtesy to the community?
Anyone on Zoom? All right.
My name's Elizabeth Nathanson. I'm at 7387 Flora Avenue. I have a quick discussion issue here. Council, tell us how the Maplewood Growth Fund is being funded and who's running it and how much money is coming from Maplewood tax dollars to supplement it. It seems to be a gray area for the community.
All right, thank you. Mr. Traxler, item number 10.
Council communication.
All right, item number 11, please.
Mayor's report.
Thank you. I have a brief report. So we will have the roller boogie on March 15th. That was pretty exciting last year. That the first time we had it, it was Move with the Mayor, roller boogie. And we had DJs there. We had family skate from 6 to 8 p.m. And then from 8 to 10 p.m. we had adult skate. It is a good time. So we are finalizing details now, and fingers crossed that we will be able to have skate rentals there. So if you don't have a pair of skates, but you want to come and have fun, you will be able to join us. I'm very excited about that. And then I just wanted to tell you all, council, that I told you last meeting, we were scheduled to have a meeting with the mayor at Webster Groves as well as their city manager. So Ms. Withercombe and I met with them on yesterday. It was a great meeting. We talked about ways that we could share some services in order to cut down on costs. And Ms. Withercombe went over that briefly in her presentation, but I just want to let you all know, we are talking with them on a range of things. So it's not just the Human Services Department. We are talking to them about a lot of stuff. So yeah, we're really just looking to see what a partnership will look like. So we can both save costs, which would be beneficial to us. And then I'm very excited that we will have, Ms. Withercombe and I will have our first meeting with Abraham Blue, who is a high school senior. And he is going to work on that proposal that will be presented to council, asking that a internship program is created for MRH students. That internship would be paid and it would be with City Hall. So it'd be kind of cool if the intern that you all are looking for came from this internship program. I don't know, I'm just putting that out there. So let me think. And that's all that I have. So that concludes my report. Thank you. Mr. Traxler, item number 12.
City attorney's report.
We didn't forget you this time. Thank you. All right, Mr. Traxler, item number 13.
City manager's report.
Mayor and council, my memo includes a follow-up to your request from January 9th to evaluate our situation in terms of housing at the St. Louis County Jail. So I've provided a little background for you on our process, how that process changed as a result of the reduction in the hold time at Richmond Heights. as well as the impact on our budget. And some data to show you that after that, change was made at Richmond Heights, obviously, the number of inmates that we were conveying to county jail went up considerably. So I'd like to answer any questions you have about what I've presented. We will be having the Amnesty Day as a phase 1 strategy to address your concerns. There are other strategies we are exploring that still need to be approved by the court before we can share them with you. So I'm looking to make those part of my memo at the next meeting or possibly at the end of March.
Thank you.
Yes, one quick question. I'm assuming that Richmond Heights' policy change hit them like it hit us. Do they have a strategy that we like, or are they just eating it? Plan ahead budgetarily and they're just, yeah, we'll eat the cost, but we don't want to do that.
Yeah, well, I think their process obviously is shorter than ours because they're bringing folks back to their facility for processing and then, by and large, at that point, releasing. We do have different circumstances in terms of who's being issued offenses as well, and we do have a considerable volume based on our big box retail footprint. And as the memo notes, these are warrants that people have failed to appear on multiple times.
One question from me, mentioned a significant capital investment to the police facilities to be able to overcome the reliance on the St. Louis County Jail for the housing. Do we have any, is this still too early to even, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
My question is just around what that number might look like, and I think it's premature.
Yeah, so based on the budget priorities presentation, that's what we're talking about in terms of planning. How we even arrive at an understanding of what that cost would be and what potentially we would be looking at for long-term investment.
All right. Mr. Traxler, item number 14.
Housing presentation by Chad Hartle, President of RCH Development, Inc., and Wayne Crawford, Executive Director of the Missouri Inclusive Housing Development Corporation.
All right. Mr. Hartle, if you would, go ahead, step to the podium, introduce the gentlemen that are with you, please. And I would just like to sincerely welcome you and thank you all for being here. This is 3 years in the making. I'm very excited. Can you tell?
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll let these two guys introduce themselves. They're part of the team here. Brian, if you'd like to.
Mayor and Council, I'm Brian Tubino with Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of St. Louis. We've been working with Chad Hartle in this project, just having discussions for the better part of a year, but also working with him on a project in Perryville, as well as we, as the Archdiocese and Catholic Charities, work to really execute the Archbishop's vision of developing affordable housing throughout the Archdiocese of St. Louis. One of the avenues of that is potentially looking at existing church property that has been affected by all things new. One of the main points out of that is for the church to become more evangelical, but also deliver social services to those in need in the entirety of the Archdiocese. And that's what we're tasked to do, is look at properties that could fit that bill. So that's why we're here today. And we also have more than 110 years of experience in helping provide social services throughout the Archdiocese in the 12 counties or 11 counties plus city of St. Louis that make up our territory. So we have expertise in the area that Chad is going to be discussing tonight, which is senior care. And with that, I'd like to introduce my co-partner, co-leader here, Chris Beckley.
Thanks, Brian. My name is Chris Beckley. I'm the CEO at Cardinal Ritter Senior Services. Our main campus is close to here in Shrewsbury. We provide all levels of senior care, and one of our key areas is senior housing. So we have a total of 700 units, 140 on the Shrewsbury campus that makes up 10 buildings throughout the county and city. And really it's a big part of our mission of what we do to help own and manage those properties. And as you know, we have a big group of seniors coming our way are already here, and we provide that level of care for them. We do have the service coordinators who help the seniors navigate when they're in our buildings as part of those 700 units. And also a housing manager that works closely to provide additional services along with maintenance and other services. So pleasure being here tonight, and we hope we can help you.
Thank you.
Okay, good evening. And thank you so much for inviting us here tonight. I really appreciate the opportunity to present what we have and give you the heads up on what we're planning to do. My name is Chad Hartle. I'm from Jackson, Missouri. I've developed, built, owned, and managed affordable housing for 37 years and completed over 40 developments. I've been working with the mayor for about 3 years to do something here in Maplewood. And that would be to put together an application for affordable housing. And I think we're getting close. So big day today for all of us. The mayor invited me here tonight to address the council and give you an overview of the affordable housing program and present samples of what I'm proposing to build. Slides, please. Okay, what is affordable housing? Affordable housing are rental units that offer lower than market rents to individuals that have incomes below a certain threshold. In addition to meeting the income restrictions, these individuals must also pass thorough background checks before they are offered a housing unit. There's a tremendous amount of oversight from state government as well as very sophisticated investors for the entire compliance period. The Missouri Housing Development Commission oversees all the affordable housing in the state of Missouri. We are required on all of our developments to have, or they will come in and actually do an annual file review on every property. They'll have an annual physical inspection of every property, and we are graded on those. And they require us to do an annual CPA audit every year. So, and they review that. And our investors that purchase these tax credits also do file reviews, physical inspections, and we're required to give them quarterly financial statements for the entire compliance period of one of these developments. Next slide, please. Okay, what makes them affordable? How do we do this? Developers apply for an allocation of tax credits. These tax credits are sold to investors to generate equity for the development. Since equity is raised instead of debt being placed on the property, there is no debt service. If we have any debt service at all on these properties, it's a dab of federal money that the state has to give out each year, and it'll be at 1% or 0% usually for 40 years. So it's insignificant debt. So this translates into lower rents for the tenants. In my example above, a development like I'm proposing tonight would roughly have $10 million of debt on it as a market rate apartment development. Monthly debt service on $10 million is about $76,000 per month. That comes out to about $1,800 per month per unit that we do not have to charge the residents to cover debt service. And that's what makes us affordable housing. To ensure financial stability, affordable housing developments are required to fund replacement reserves monthly. These reserves are restricted to only be used for major capital expenses such as roof and parking lots. So that sets us apart somewhat too from market rate units, because these developments will accumulate money over their useful life, and whenever it comes time for roof, parking lots, major repairs, the money's there. Next slide, please. In return for receiving an allocation of tax credits, there are restrictions on the income levels of our residents. And there are rent restrictions on what can be charged for rent, as well as how much we can raise rents over the life of this development. As a general rule, the income of our residents are limited to 60% of the area median income. That comes out to $42,240 per year for a one-person household. and $48,240 per year for a two-person household. Residents, once they move in, a resident does not have to move out if their income goes above these levels. I'm currently projecting rents for the 60% AMI units to be around $800 per month. And that's a very preliminary estimate, but we should be able to hit that. Now, for example, if that was a market rate apartment, I'd have that $1,800 worth of debt service on top of that. So if these were built brand new today, the rents would probably be closer to $2,400. And yeah, that'd be pretty close, over $2,000 for sure. We do have some extra expenses with the affordable housing because of the compliance and the oversight and the audits and the reserve accounts and things like that. But that gives you a rough idea of how they're affordable. So in addition to 60% AMI units, I will also be proposing some special needs units. They would be at 30% of the area median income. That comes out to about $21,200 per year for a one-person household and $23,120 a year for a two-person household. We will be seeking rental assistance for these units, so their rent would be based on their income. And I plan 42 units on the site that we're currently proposing, and I'd probably have six to 10 units that would fall into that category of special needs. And that's where that this would be coming in and offering services to these special needs individuals. We'd also have a set aside for persons in, which is kind of a given a preference to persons that are in a certain category, which could be homeless, it could be a disability, it would be whatever we determine in our supportive service plan and set aside plan. So in addition, I'm proposing some of these units to be market rate. Probably 8 units, maybe 10. So these market rate units would have rents that are comparable to other market rate units in the area. It usually comes out to quite a bit less than that, but that's a good rule of thumb. So by doing that, we are creating a community that mirrors the general rental population. Some folks in one income category, some in another, and then some with unlimited incomes. The market rate units also help to buy down the rents for the affordable units. So it's a complex model that we'll put together in pro formas, but our investors and MHDC look very closely at that to make sure this development is going to be viable over the long term. This development will be for seniors, age 55 and over is what I'm planning. And Chris, I don't know how that dovetails in with you're 62 and over, but typically a straight LIHTC deal would be age 55 and over. Next slide, please. Okay, limited resources. You heard the good part, now's the tough part. This process is very competitive. I can't emphasize that enough. There will be 100 to 130 applications submitted statewide this year, of which 22 to 28 will be funded. Basically, about 1 out of every 4 applications will be approved. There just aren't enough resources to go around. I'm willing to say that at least 90% of those applications should be funded, but there's just not enough resources. So these applications are very complicated, time consuming and expensive to put together. I'll be bearing that cost. I'll be doing that work. I wouldn't be standing here right now unless I thought we had a good chance. So I guess my point of that is this is by no means a sure thing, but I do believe I can put together an outstanding application for us. Next slide. Okay, timeline. Applications will be due sometime in the fall and awards will be announced in December of this year. So if we are successful the first go around, we will know by December. If we receive an award, it will take 6 to 9 months to close and another 14 months or so to complete construction after that. The December 2024 approval would most likely result in construction completion around the end of 2026. It's not uncommon to apply for multiple years before achieving an approval. The application cycle is typically held only one time per year. If we're not approved, if we are able to submit an application and we're not approved, MHDC will sit down with us and they will go through every one of their departments that scores us. There's about a dozen departments that score us, everything from the architectural to the supportive services, to the financial models, to the market models, et cetera, et cetera. And they will tell us where we're weak and what they would like to see. And they'll also tell us if they say, hey, guys, this isn't going to happen, so throw in the towel. Okay, I know I've thrown a lot at you in a short period of time. At this point, are there any questions?
Mr. Hartle, would you just tell us like your success rate because it is high?
Yes, usually my success rate is probably closer to 50%, and some applications, I'm going to say I would give 75% chance or better. It's a scoring matrix that they score us by, and they just started this 4 years ago. The first year I had the highest points in the state of all the apps, and the third highest. And the second year I had second highest, and the fourth, something like that. Third year, more toward the middle of the pack. I really think that Maplewood has all the ingredients to be a very high scoring application. And if we can check all the boxes on that, and I think we have a probably 75% chance of getting this approved this year.
Then can you tell us what you need from us so we can support your efforts?
That's my punchline at the end.
Well, I have a theme going this evening. I keep rushing to the end of stuff, so please, we can wait.
Well, I want to tell you, in 37 years, I've worked with probably, I don't know how many communities and how many mayors, but you've got a jewel here. I've never worked with a mayor that has more energy, is more dedicated, is more focused on a cause. And that is one of the reasons I would give us a 75% chance, and it's sitting right there. So thank you so much for your support, enthusiasm, and optimism.
Thank you.
But at any rate, I'll be asking for a resolution of support. I know you're not prepared to do that tonight. I would give you a sample of a resolution to model after if you're so inclined to do that. And that's one part of the application. It won't make us or break us, but it sure goes a long way when your city council and mayor are behind a project.
One question for you about the competition for these approvals. Can you talk a little bit about how the selections are made and what the committee looks at in determining approvals? And does it help us that we've never had anything like this in Maplewood or nearby? Does that up our odds of getting something approved or selected?
You hit the nail on the head. There's a possible, I think the top scoring app last year was about 145 points. And that's made up of the development team, which is 45 points, which will be myself primarily. And then they also score our management company. They'll score, then they look at the whole development team, and that's 45 points at that score. St. Louis County is 10 points. So there's another 10 supportive services, a set aside. All of these ingredients come together. But I can tell you that last year, the two highest scored applications in the state were approved, and they skipped over 6 of the next ones to approve other ones that were lower scoring. So yes, it is a scoring matrix, but there's that intangible that Maplewood has, and those are our two strongest intangibles. Maplewood has not had an award of tax credits that I could find. I think you have a couple, maybe small developments that may have had tax credits, but they are going to look very favorably on this application because they like to spread their resources out statewide. And City of Maplewood would be first in line, in my opinion, for that. So we've got a huge intangible there and here, and plus you folks. A very exciting application. Any other questions on the nuts and bolts part?
I'm sorry, we won't be able to take your questions at this time. Thank you. But afterwards, if you'd like to ask him after the meeting, you're more than welcome to do so. You won't be able to, ma'am. I'm sorry, you all are out of order respectfully. At this time, we are on item number 14, which is a presentation. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next slide. Okay,
I did have a quick question. It might be more kind of a combo question between Catholic Charities and your scope on this. I know Immaculate Conception in that area that we're kind of talking about was like, it served a lot of community purpose beyond just the church and the school. Like I know there's been a food pantry that has been very important to our community operating out of there. Is there like, with projects you've done in the past, is there room to make sure certain community function stays built in the area?
So there's no determination. I mean, this ultimately has to be approved through the archdiocese. But we would maintain the legacy of the social services that are provided from that space. In fact, that would be partly a reason to put it there. The church itself is not being considered in this. It would remain standing. So it could be used for continued services, chapel, weddings, that type of activity. But again, this is where we want to maintain legacy of many of these parishes and the social outreach in particular that they've been doing for generations.
Thank you very much.
I can add to that a bit. I'll show you a site plan that I'm proposing, how we carve the church out of it, and it will still be owned and operated if they choose to operate it. However, the Catholic diocese would prefer to do it, but it will not be part of this development, even though the land will be carved out of it. Okay, the second part of my presentation, the mayor asked me to show an example of brick and mortar that I've done in the past, and I've selected 3 properties for that. The first one is Bluff View Apartments, and these are also senior apartments. Next slide. That was a picture of Bluff View when it was built, I'm sorry, in 2015. This, and if you can start the drone footage, this is Bluff View Apartments today. We did this footage last week, and it's substantially the same as it was nearly 10 years ago. Bluff View is in Festus, Missouri. It's 40 units, all 2-bedroom senior apartments. It's a single 3-story building with an elevator. It has common space for gathering and supportive services. Disability Resource Association is our supportive service partner. And as we pan around the building here, you'll see the single-story buildings in the background with the green roof, and some of them have gray roofs. That is Sandhills Place. Sandhills Place is another senior development. As I said, it's single-story, 2-bedroom apartments. That design works better if you have a lot of land, usually about 5 acres for something like that. And as you'll see later in my presentation, we can do 42 units of senior housing on 1.3 acres. So we're somewhat limited, but I love the single building design and the security it offers, et cetera. But I've also done a lot of the single-story slab-on-grade senior units. And it was built in 2010, so you can see it's held up very well also, from what little you can see. Also, the single-story design, if we do single-story or multi-story, we really need to hit about 40 to 50 units. That's the sweet spot where your fixed costs are diluted by your number of units. You really can't do like 20 units or 16 efficiently these days. And if you get about 50 units, then you're using so many resources that MHDC would prefer to allocate that over a couple projects instead of just one. So, and whoops, I missed my shot of the barbecue grills. They are conveniently located away from the building at the direction of our insurance agent. So anyway, it's Not really a hot idea to have those close to the building. As we turn the corner, you'll see Bluff Valley Apartments. Bluff Valley Apartments are family apartments that are under the same program for families. We just started building this one late last year, and we're framing up now, as you can see, the first couple of buildings. That will be 40 units of family housing, affordable housing. And we expect completion of that by the end of this year, actually. In the far background, you can see another single-story senior building. I didn't do that one, but it's the same design, same style, same program of what I'm planning here in Maplewood. As the camera pans around, you can see the building with the big building in the foreground with the green roof, and that is Disability Resource Association. They provide supportive services to all three of these developments that we have around it. And we built their building too. They're a great partner. Next slide, please. The next development is Star Residences. It is a 44-unit senior housing development that we built in 2016. It was followed up with 30 more senior units in 2018 on the same site. Same design, same interior, floor plan, et cetera, supportive services and all that. Next slide. Here is Lindenwood Senior Apartments. Lindenwood was built in 1984, 40 years ago. And I started renovating it in 2022. It's a representative of what happens to a development like I'm proposing in Maplewood after 40 years. The unit mix has changed somewhat over that period of time, and we don't typically go up 6 stories, but it will still give you a good idea of what they look like 40 years from now. So in this rehabilitation, I did the new kitchen cabinets, countertops, appliances, flooring, paint, windows, doors, roof, all the things that you would expect. But in 1984, they put in through the wall air conditioning units, kind of like I call them motel units. And the problem with that in this development is that that was only in your main living area. They came through the wall right into the windows, and they would cool the living area just fine. But the bedroom and the bathroom had no cooling or heating. So most of these 67 units had an 8-inch hole in the wall between the bedroom and the living room with a little fan. And some of them had a duct that went over to these PTAC units to suck the air into the bedrooms. So I was able to put in central heat and air in all the units, which the tenants just raved about that after living with those other units for so long. Also sprinkled the entire building. When it was built, the sprinklers were only in the common areas. So I did sprinklers in all 67 apartments. We also noticed in the original plans that the steel columns that supported the building, there's 16 big I-beam steel columns in here going from the ground up to the roof. We noticed that the joints that they put those together with were just bolted together, which is typical. But when you're in a seismic area like Cape, our structural engineer recommended welding a plate at that joint in the webbing of the I-beam. So we went in and removed them all where the 16 beams were, and we welded plates on those to give it a better seismic rating. We also added parking. And in addition to all of these, and a smoke shack, so this is a non-smoking building, so we put a, they call it a smoke shack out in the parking lot so that our residents that still want smoke can go out there and do it. We also had supportive services. This building had no supportive services for 38 years. We have a full-time activity director / caseworker in the building, and we have a whole basket of programs for the residents. And it has just worked out fabulously for both our service provider and the residents. But just as big as the physical rehabilitation of the building and the addition of services, I did a financial restructure of this development. Over 40 years, it takes its toll on their budget. Reserve accounts get drawn down, and debt service sometimes gets to be a little unbearable. So I did a total financial restructuring, beefed up the reserve accounts, and was able to get the debt service actually down on it because of the equity that came in from the investors. So the whole goal was to make this thing viable for another 40 years. But you can definitely, it's very desirable to come in and take one of these buildings and do a substantial rehabilitation on it with tax credits. If you're willing to compete and you're successful in competing, I think this was a $7 million rehabilitation on this building, and it's much better than if it goes market, and it doesn't have all the controls that we have in our industry. Next slide. Okay, here we are. Okay, this is our site plan for 2934 Marshall Avenue. We will carve the church out of the site, as you can see in the drawing, even though it's a little faint. This will be accessed from both sides. That's, I think, Anna Avenue and Mahler Avenue will be the entrances. It is 42 units of 2-bedroom senior apartments and fits very well on the site, especially with, being able to enter from both sides. It sits on about 1.3 acres. So it surprised me that we actually could get that much ground out of it after carving the church out. We will need to demolish the educational building that's on the site to do this, but we will not be touching the church itself. Okay, next slide. This is the floor plan of a typical 2-bedroom unit. It's a very, very popular design. It is universal design, and all of the units will be adaptable. I'm proposing the energy efficient apartments that will either be Energy Star certified or National Green Building Standard bronze level. So we do get some additional consideration for doing these upgrades to make them more energy efficient. Next slide. This is an accessible 2-bedroom apartment. 5% of the apartments will be like this, and they'll be for mobility impaired persons. But even though it's basically the same layout as our other units, there just be little different tweaks in it, which they can all be retrofitted to be this way if we need to. Next slide. This is a rendering of the building that I'm proposing on that site. So it would be, as you can see, very similar to the other buildings that I've done in the past. And it lays on there very well. I'm very pleased with the way it laid out. This outlines my proposal as of today. This is based on what I've done in the past. The design, rent structure, and other particulars in this presentation are subject to change as I move forward. I don't anticipate any significant changes. These are very predictable the way we put them together. But I will tell you that if there are any significant changes, I will come back to the city council and let you know what those changes are. Any changes in the tenant mix or any of the physical design or layout, I'll come back to this council. And I'm requesting a resolution of support from the council, of which I can get you a sample of that. Any questions?
Thank you for taking the time to present this to us. I do have a question. One of your developments, you said you're building now a family development next to that. Have you considered making this an intergenerational development?
Good question. It's, I put in an application for intergenerational housing in Cape last year. HUD came out with a program that specifically targeted that. It's too late for like Bluff Valley to do that. We put out, put our model together and all that, and that's what it's approved under, and we can't make any changes once we close. But yes, it's definitely on our radar. There are some different models here for that are somewhat similar to that, but that intergenerational model is fairly new on the scene, and I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's something that'll fit into our portfolio eventually.
I think so too. Maplewood has a lot of seniors, but they also have a lot of young families that are struggling to stay here and they want to live here for things like the school district. So I think that's something that we might consider.
Great, thank you.
So I apologize. I'm not super familiar with how this process goes. So this is a really good presentation. I appreciate it. I learned a lot. I understand you're looking for a resolution of support. Is that then that we have like community engagement or a panel discussions? Like, what does that look like so that we can make sure our community has insight on this as well? Or do we, it's like, I just want to make sure I understand.
A resolution would be like all of our resolutions, right? It would be determined by council. If council wanted to hear from community, then we could have an agenda item similar to like a public hearing. Yeah, we could do that.
I think that'd probably be really smart.
I agree.
Typically when I do, well, I guess backing up a little bit, a resolution of support is not required in my application. I don't get points for it. It's, and from year to year that has changed and bounced around a little bit, but more than anything, it shows the city council and the mayor are behind a development. Developments have been approved in municipalities where the council and the mayor have been totally against it. And depending on the other metrics, MHDC has approved those in the past. So it doesn't weigh as much on it as maybe it did years ago. But the whole, all these intangibles I've been talking about, those are the things that are going to get us across the hump. And a lot of times I'll have council persons write individual letters of support and as well as a resolution of support. Mayor's letter goes a long way. You know, they really like to see that. I am required to notify the mayor, the city council, the chief of police, I don't think I have to do the superintendent of schools on a senior deal. There are quite a few, the state rep, the state senator. There's quite a few elected officials that I do have to notify, and that has to be in my app or it'll be rejected. But a notification is simply sending them a certified mail and proving they got it. They're even accepting emails now. But if we take that one step farther and we have letters of support from all of these elected officials that I'm required to notify, that really is icing on the cake. They can check that box off and go on, and it's powerful, even though we don't get points.
One more question. What's the occupancy rate or the normal median occupancy rate on your buildings?
90, the seniors run a little bit more because the turnover is slower. Maybe about 95% on those, but company-wide, we're running mid to high 90s. It's normal turnover. And we have waiting list on about everything. So when I started in this business many years ago, we had to be very careful where we pick a community to go into. And a market study is part of this. I can tell you right now, Maplewood's one of the best markets I've ever been in. I can see it and I can feel it. But today, we can throw a dart anywhere in the United States and there's a housing shortage. There's simply not enough resources to go around. But yes, it will be very popular and we will have a waiting list for sure. Usually we fill them up after we build them, and seniors go a little slower. It usually takes a couple months, but it's not unusual for a family development to fill up, in one weekend. We'll do pre-marketing and usually start 3 to 4 months ahead of actual completion, and we'll have a big waiting list worked up. It's very paperwork intensive qualifying these residents because we have to have third-party verifications of their income. And the penalty for moving a person in that is over income is severe. These investors pump $10 million into these things, and I have to personally guarantee them. They won't just do it without guarantees of somebody that's been doing this a long time and have the resources to get one up and going again if anything does go sideways. So I'll be very vested in this thing for a minimum of 15 years.
How do you determine seniors versus family, and can you mix and match? Does it have to be one or the other? How's that determination made?
A couple things. My portfolio is fairly even between senior and family. They both have their personalities. A lot of it's community. I can tell you on this site, I would not be putting family housing on that site because of the other apartments that are in a close proximity. It's just getting too dense there for family to be in that neighborhood. Secondly, I'll never do family in a building like this with enclosed hallways. You end up with kids playing soccer, people that shouldn't be living there hanging out in the hallways to get out of the cold. You've got you can't keep control of the property if this design were for family. Now, I do family buildings that are 3 stories, but I'll do breezeways, and I'll situate those breezeways so that we have security and police driving by on the street can see through these breezeways. And there's a lot of other things we do, cameras, and of course, all the screening and all that. But the site had a lot to do with senior. We were originally talking family, and family. There's definitely a place for family in Maplewood. I prefer senior as a rule, but it's more driven by the community, where it's located, and the desires of the mayor and the city council plays into that.
Anything further? Mr. Hartle, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, gentlemen, for coming as well. We appreciate it.
Thank
Mr. Traxler, item number 15.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maplewood, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to accept the bid of KI Incorporated in the amount of $23,710 for replacement office furniture for the Public Works Garage.
May I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Traxler, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Homa,
Yes.
Mayor Knapper,
Yes.
Councilmember Page,
Yes.
Councilmember Matts,
Yes.
Councilmember Farrell.
Yes.
Resolution 24-4 is approved.
Thank you. Item number 16, please.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maplewood, Missouri, appointing Amber Whitcomb as a city representative to the Deer Creek Community Improvement District as interim director, replacing Michael Reese with an expiring term, August 21, 2026.
May I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Traxler, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Homa,
Yes.
Mayor Knapper,
Yes.
Councilmember Page,
Yes.
Councilmember Maddox,
Yes.
Councilmember Farrell,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia.
Yes.
Resolution 24-5 is approved.
Item number 17, please.
Bill 6241, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maplewood, Missouri, amending Chapter 2, Article 7, Boards, Commissions, and Authorities to add a new Division 4, Code of Ethics, for the purpose of establishing a code of ethics for appointed members of the boards and commissions created by the Code of Ordinances.
That was the final reading. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Seconded.
Any discussion?
I just want to thank my colleagues and Nick for helping me get this up here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank y'all. Hearing no further discussion, Mr. Traxler, roll call vote, please.
Mayor Knapper,
Yes.
Councilmember Page,
Yes.
Councilmember Maddox,
Yes.
Councilmember Correll,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Homa.
Yes.
Bill 6241 becomes ordinance 6036.
Thank you. Mr. Traxler, item number 18.
Bill 6242, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maplewood, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to execute an STP urban program agreement between the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission and the City of Maplewood for project number STP CMAC-9901-667 Greenwood Boulevard.
That was the final reading. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Traxler, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Page,
Yes.
Councilmember Maddox,
Yes.
Councilmember Correll,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Homa,
Yes.
Mayor Knapper.
Yes.
Bill 6242 becomes ordinance 6037.
Thank you. Item number 19, please.
Bill 6243, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maplewood, Missouri, granting a conditional use permit to Simon Lusky of Rebel Kitchen to operate a restaurant with drive-through 7520 Manchester Road.
That was the final reading. May I have a motion to table the bill for the reading of the finding of fact?
So moved. Seconded.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Traxler, would you please read the findings of fact?
The mayor and city council make the following findings of fact for the petition for a conditional use permit for a restaurant with drive-through at 7520 Manchester Road. A, proposed use complies with all applicable provisions of the zoning code. B, proposed use will contribute to and promote community welfare and convenience. C, the proposed use will not cause substantial injury to the value of neighboring property. D, the proposed use does comply with the overall neighborhood development plan and the existing zoning provisions. E, proposed use will provide, if applicable, off-street parking and loading areas in accordance with the standards of the zoning code. F, the proposed use will not substantially increase traffic hazards. G, the proposed use will not substantially increase fire hazards. H, the proposed use will not overtax public utilities. I, the proposed use will not place an undue burden on municipal services.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the findings of fact?
So moved. Seconded.
Any discussion? Yum. Yes, very excited. All right. If there is no further discussion, Mr. Traxler, roll call vote, please, to approve the findings of fact.
Councilmember Maddox,
Yes.
Councilmember Correll.
Yes.
Do I need to say Councilmember Garcia?
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia.
Yes.
Councilmember Homa,
Yes.
Mayor Knapper.
Yes.
Councilmember Page.
Yes.
Thank
Bill
you.
6243 becomes ordinance 6038.
Oh, no. I still have a bit more to do.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, that was just the findings
Oh,
of
I
fact.
apologize.
That's okay. It's a long, Mr. Traxler, it's a long walk. That's all right. That's all right. May I have a motion to bring the bill back onto the table?
So moved. Seconded.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. May I have a motion to adopt the bill?
So moved. Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Traxler, final roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Maddox,
Yes.
Councilmember Correll,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Homa,
Yes.
Mayor Knapper,
Yes.
Councilmember Page.
Yes.
Bill 6242 becomes ordinance 6038.
Thank you. Mr. Traxler, item number 20.
Bill 6244, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maplewood, Missouri, granting a conditional use permit for Vladimir Ratai of VR Wholesale International LLC to operate an auto sales and repair facility at 2800 through 2804 South Big Bend Boulevard and 7480 Hazel Avenue.
That was the final reading. May I have a motion to table the bill for the reading of the findings of fact?
So moved. Seconded.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Traxler, would you please read the findings of fact?
The mayor and city council make the following findings of fact for the petition for a conditional use permit operate an auto sales and repair facility, 2800 through 2804 South Big Bend Boulevard and 7480 Hazel Avenue. A, the proposed use complies with all applicable provisions of the zoning code. B, the proposed use will contribute to and promote community welfare and convenience. C, the proposed use will not cause substantial injury to the value of neighboring property. D, the proposed use does comply with the overall neighborhood development plan and existing zoning provisions. E, proposed use will provide, if applicable, off-street parking and loading areas in accordance with standards of the zoning code. F, the proposed use will not substantially increase traffic hazards. G, the proposed use will not substantially increase fire hazards. H, the proposed use will not overtax public utilities. I, the proposed use will not place an undue burden on municipal services.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the findings of fact?
Motion to approve. Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Traxler, roll call vote, please. To approve the findings of fact.
Councilmember Correll,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Homa,
Yes.
Mayor Knapper,
Yes.
Councilmember Page,
Yes.
Councilmember Maddox.
Yes.
Findings of fact are approved.
Thank you. May I have a motion to bring the bill back onto the table?
So moved. Seconded.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion to adopt the bill?
So moved. Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Traxler, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Correll,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Homa,
Yes.
Mayor Knapper,
Yes.
Councilmember Page,
Yes.
Councilmember Maddox.
Yes.
Bill 6244 becomes ordinance 6039.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Traxler, item number 21.
Apologies for my
No
reference.
worries.
It's been some time since I've done this.
No worries.
Old business.
We do not have any. We do not need to go into closed session. So, Mr. Traxler, item number 23.
Adjournment.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Have a good evening.
That's what I said. You want to write down, but it's confusing.